when we play an eighth note groove, our hi-hats are just playing even hi-hat notes all the way through. But watch what happens when we accent the ands. The groove completely changes and develops an entirely different sound, which I absolutely love. I'm going to break it down into 3 really simple steps for you, and then I'll show you how we can kind of add a little bit more to it to make it even more funky and even more interesting. Let's dive straight in. So in order to get this groove sounding really nice, we've got to work on pulling out those offbeat notes, so all of the ands that we're going to play. Okay, so that's going to start like this. My biggest tip that I can give to you to get these offbeats kind of really sounding nice, what's important is not the loud notes that we accent all of the ands. It's getting the notes in between super quiet, and if you can do that, then the accented notes will really kind of pop and they'll stand out much more. If they're too loud, you lose that kind of throwaway, kind of offbeat feel. So you've really got to focus on the quiet notes, getting as quiet as you can, as well as bringing out those offbeats. So try just working on this. So we start off just on the hi-hat. Here we go. Now that can take a little bit of a while to get comfortable with, because as I said at the beginning, it is a bit of a weird concept, accenting on the ands. It really kind of does feel strange at first. So take some time, take 10 or 15 minutes, however long it takes, to get comfortable just playing those that hi-hat line on the offbeats, and as I say, really quiet tap strokes and loud accents. Now here's the first tricky bit. I remember when I first started playing this groove, when you try and add in the snare, this is where it all gets a bit weird and it starts to feel kind of hard to play. So just start with the hi-hat. Once you've got that comfortable, then bring in the snare drum, right? So it's going to sound like this. You can actually just play that as purely offbeats if you want to, like, but it loses a bit of the feel, I think, if you do that, and it becomes quite spacious. So by keeping the kind of the eighth notes going, definitely a bit more groovy. Next up, we're going to add a bass drum on the 1 and the 3. So like kind of the, you know, the staple diet bass drum groove, if you like. 1 and 3, I'll start with my hi-hats and snare drum for a couple of bars, then I'll bring in the bass drum to kind of kick it along a bit. Not bad. There's the kind of basic groove, starting to kind of sound all right now. Let's add in a few more kicks just to make it a bit interesting, and then I'm going to show you a way to turbocharge this groove. All right, you're going to love this next bit. So, a couple more bass drums, bit of variation. Starting to kind of get a bit more shape to it, starting to sound a bit more musical. One last thing before we really kind of flip this thing on its head. Ride cymbal. Why don't we try it on the ride? Now, I've got to be honest, it sounds a bit weird just on the body of the ride, right? It sounds a bit like this. It kind of works, but I think the ride cymbal notes don't kind of cut through as well as they do on the hi-hat. They really kind of cut. When you go to the body of the ride, it doesn't really cut through in quite the same way. However, what we can do is we can take it up here onto the bell of the ride, which is definitely going to cut through and definitely going to make that offbeat note stand out a little bit more. So that's going to sound like this. Now, there is actually a little bit of a technique involved here. I'm throwing a lot of information at you guys here, but I hope you're staying with me. Have some fun with it. It's an impromptu lesson. I thought I'd just kind of go for it today. I've been recording some stuff which I'll tell you about at the end. So the offbeat ride cymbal, okay? We're not going to do this. That's lovely. What we're going to do is this. Now, can you see that, how my stick is moving backwards and forwards? So it's starting here for the 1, or the on-beat notes, if you like. And then all of the ands, I'm hitting the bell. So I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you have to start on the body, and on the and, you move to the bell. One more time. You need to remember to use the shoulder of the stick when you do your, whenever you play on the bell of the ride, okay? Don't use the tip, because it's harder to kind of hit it, and it doesn't cut as much. It doesn't pull as much volume out of the ride. If you use the shoulder, just the bit, just where the stick kind of tapers from kind of neck and shoulder into tip here, this bit here, if you catch it on that bit, get a much, much better sound. Okay, so this time we'll add the snare. Now we add in the bass drums, 1 and 3. Bit faster. Okay, so there's the ride. We can kind of explore that, playing on the bell of the ride, or you can play on the body of the ride, doesn't matter. But as I was saying, if you use the shoulder of the stick on the bell of the ride, you're going to get a much, much better sound, and it's really going to pull out those lovely offbeat notes from your ride cymbal. Okay, so the very final thing in this lesson that I wanted to tell you about. Now, this is a little bit tricky. This is definitely like stage 3, I would say. I wouldn't attempt to do this. If you fast forwarded this video, you need to go back. You need to go back, okay, because you're going to find this next bit a bit tricky if you've never played an offbeat groove before. I certainly wouldn't recommend attempting it. I may even not get it right now, but we're just going to go for it and see what happens. So I'll do the groove, and then I'll show you, I'll play the full groove, and then we'll break down what's going on, okay? Here we go. So what I was doing there in that groove is I was adding in some nice little kind of tap strokes on the left hand. And the way we can develop this really easily is just to kind of play a single stroke roll with your accents on the right hand. Easy enough. And the left hand kind of filling in the gaps. So we're not going to play this exactly in the groove because it doesn't work. I'll show you in a second, but this is how you can develop it, okay? Gets you used to that sensation. So let's add in the backbeat now and see how we can make that work. Bring in the bass drum. A little bit faster. Now Now, before you go, I want to tell you about my brand new course, which is coming out very, very soon. It's called the 7-Day Double Stroke Accelerator course. You can pre-register right now by tapping the link in the comments section below. And if you do that, you will get a special launch day price. How about that? I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you guys, so check that out. There's a lot more information on the website there as well. Until next time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you again for another lesson, probably impromptu, but we'll see. Bye for now.